So one of the things I think that makes dealing with litigation so difficult for anybody, but for average people that aren't used to dealing with stuff that lawyers deal with, is just the procedural issues. And let me give you an example. So I filed a lawsuit on Friday. So it involves a individual defendant who was working for a corporation who hurt my client in a car wreck. Well, we have to serve the individual who's an out-of-state defendant. His corporation, which is based in North Carolina, there's some dubious issue with whether or not it's a valid corporation still. And the individual who was hurt, the plaintiff in this case, and he was hurt, and so he was hurt, and because he was hurt, he has to put his insurance company on notice, his third-party insurance company, and they're the so-called unnamed defendant. Well, we have to serve their registered agent in another county. And so what that means is I have to file the lawsuit and then serve 3 different entities. But I can't use the local sheriff because the corporate entity is in another county, and the insurance company for my client's insurance company, who he has to put on notice, who is what's called an unnamed defendant because he can't mention an insurance company, his underinsured motorist coverage is got to be put on notice. So they're put on notice by the lawsuit about the lawsuit, but then they can't really show up in any way. If you were to go to a jury trial, it wouldn't be listed on the pleadings. It would just say unnamed defendant, wouldn't list where they were, but you put their address on the summons. Well, the summons wouldn't show up for the jury to see in a court file or anything like that. But it's confusing, and it's confusing because, you have to jump through these procedural hoops, and if you don't get them served within a certain amount of time, you have to reissue the summons, and then you have to be worried about your statute of limitations because, there are issues with that. If you go beyond that, you have to keep renewing the summons, or basically the lawsuit just goes away. So it's exceedingly complicated, it's technical, it's difficult. Yes, the clerks are very helpful, but there are a lot of ways that you can trip up in a lawsuit.